This is TWiT.
This episode of Tech Break is brought to you by ACI Learning. The days of boring training methods are over. Meaningful impact shows up as high engagement, which translates to optimal performance. Your team deserves to feel entertained and empowered to keep your organization secure. Fill out the form at go.acilearning.com/twit for information on a free 2-week trial for your team.
Yeah, so the OnePlus Pad, I feel like the NDA for the reviews lifted on this about a month ago, which is probably about when you did your review, right, Juan?
Yeah, I was part of that early embargo, and we had it for a little bit more than a week before they let us lift and talk about using the tablet. But I'm really anxious to hear your thoughts, because even from when I had it to now I think we're getting a better sense of what this is going to look like in consumers' hands. Because what I had was, it was finished hardware, but it definitely needed that day one update. The software was really pre-release. It was really embargo early access. So I'm kind of curious to hear how your experiences have been, if they kind of vibe with what I got to experience.
Yeah. So, I also have had the Pad, the OnePlus Pad for, I'd say probably about a week and a half of solid use. OnePlus sent this to me. I'm going to be shipping it back either tomorrow or the next day, because apparently they have a lot of demand on these devices. So as you can see here, I have the OnePlus Pad, which is the tablet itself. I've got their, what is it called? The stylo that snaps to the top. I really like the snapping mechanism. It's a little magnetic snap, and right away I get the little notification that tells me that it's connected. It charges wirelessly up here, so that's pretty sweet. You can remove the tips. I'm not sure why you want to remove the tips. Is just that, like, do they provide different angles? I'm not really quite sure. It actually has a different
firmness. Like you can how the feel is against, and then also I think it's for if they start to wear out over time.
Oh,
you can swap that pen tip.
Oh, wow. People are rough on their pens.
Yeah,
apparently. So you got the style. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, with a lot of use, you're gonna run into that problem, right?
Yeah, which I mean, admittedly, I'm not going to be I'm not the user to give a lot of use on the stylus. I'm, time and time again, when a stylus is part of a package, I find myself like struggling to remember to use it or to find reasons to use it. I'm not really an artist with my tablet, so I'm not, pulling it out to draw pictures and do, refinements like that. I'm also not using a stylus to do any navigation stuff. You really use something like this for like note taking and creative stuff, and so I'm the wrong person on that. But I do think that, for $99, we're really starting with the things that are far below the fold here. But with the stylo, it's $99, and I think if you want a stylus, I mean, it seems like the integration is pretty sweet, and having it actually dock kind of magnetically to the top. It has a place to go, I guess, is my point. So that's pretty sweet. You can also see here, I've got the keyboard, what is it called? The OnePlus magnetic keyboard. This is shaded green because the tablet itself is actually green. If I pull all this stuff apart, you can kind of see a little bit of fingerprinty on the back, but it's kind of like a polished green color on the back. And yeah, the tablet itself, I love the color. I'm a big fan of the green color. I probably should have taken that sticker off, so I'll go ahead and cover it. Big fan of the color. I think the green color is it's really nice in person. I don't know how much it comes through on the camera and through the podcast, but it's a really comfortable tablet too. Like, it's got a really nice rounding, the curvature. It feels thin and narrow enough. I don't know. It's just a comfortable tablet. Like, pulling it out, what I have to compare it against are the Samsung tablets. Some of the premium Samsung tablets just have this like hard edge that looks nice. Like, when you look at the tablet, it kind of has a kind of a fancy premium quality to it. But often when I be holding those tablets, I kind of feel the edges into the palm of my hand. And with a device like this, it's big enough that when you're holding it, you want it to be comfortable because it's just a little bit larger than you might be used to using. And so at least get the comfort right. And I feel like the OnePlus Pad gets the comfort right.
I need to jump in and ask because there were two fairly high profile early reviews that listed the bezels as being cons.
Oh boy, I do not care at all.
Now, Jason, this is very serious. If we're talking about the hand feel, are you able to hold and use the tablet with those smaller bezels than what might be on some of the competitors' products?
Can we take a moment and get a rating on the hand feel, Jason?
Yes, this is
4 hands out of 5. Okay,
Yeah.
4 hands, 8 fingers out of 10. Is that the rating?
I'm bringing
no,
this
I
up
haven't had any issues. I mean, I feel like that
my
bezel
main
is
thing
wide
is-
enough. No.
So like the way you're holding it right there, the one issue that I ran into personally, and this is actually something that's impacting me on a Windows tablet too, is I'm interacting with the screen whenever I'm doing something like docking it with the keyboard. But when I'm just using the tablet, when I'm holding the tablet, even when I'm sketching with the tablet, I felt like those bezels were functional. Like I didn't think that the narrower borders around the screen were preventing me from using the tablet well.
No, I would absolutely agree, and I just took that sticker off. There we go.
Yeah,
I would absolutely agree. I mean, are you going to get weird little phantom touches here and there? I suppose so, but I feel like that's an appropriate amount of bezel because I do understand. Like if it was to the edge,
really well balanced.
If it was to the edge, yeah, that would totally get in the way with something that have in the palm of your hand, and you'd get some of those those touches that you didn't mean for. So I don't mind having a little bit of a bezel. Not to mention, like the bezel itself is curved with the contours of the glass, so it looks very refined. Like sometimes you see these, and maybe it's nitpicking, but you see these round edges, and then you see a square corner on the display.
It triggers my OCD.
Totally.
I don't like it when those mismatch.
Totally.
Yeah.
This feels a lot more intentional from a design perspective to have that. It's just very pleasing to my eyes. I don't mind the bezels at all, but I feel like I've really come around as far as my opinion on bezels in general. It used to be that if there was any sight of any bezel whatsoever, I'd be like, oh, that's so ugly. And then for the reasons that you're talking about, from a usability standpoint, it might look nicer, but then you start to use it and you realize, oh, well, actually those bezels serve a purpose.
I was just surprised to see people criticizing that they were too small. I think that's the thing that kind of...
I think that's legacy thinking of what I'm talking about right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, like at what point did we decide that was a
deal
major
breaker.
criticism?
Totally.
Yeah,
I totally
exactly.
agree. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. I was on the airplane and pulled out my headphones and then realized, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't have a headphone jack. So there is that. If you want to do, headphones, you got to do wireless, which is not entirely surprising, I suppose. But I guess on tablets sometimes, I think I'm still used to seeing on tablets they still include the headphone jack, and I expected to find it, but then I had the Pixel Buds Pro with me, which are the noise canceling ones, anyways. So I was like, oh, actually, this doesn't matter. I'll just connect via Bluetooth and. I'm on an airplane. I'm on a noisy airplane. I want to cancel the noise anyways, so it doesn't really matter that much. But overall, I like the design. It's got the four speakers on both sides. You've got kind of the quad speaker array. The speakers sounded nice to me. I didn't admittedly do a whole lot of like listening on the quad speakers. I was really using a lot of the time using headphones and everything like that. But so I think the display is probably one of the more interesting things because I'm sure you saw that we certainly talked about it on the show, but I'm sure you saw this one that Ron Amadio had his Ars Technica takedown of the display, where it seemed like a lot of the reviews were very pro display, right? Like pro this display, even though it's an LCD display, and a lot of people will knock it because it's not an AMOLED or whatever, but it's 11.6 inch, 1.44 hertz LCD display. And I know that developer tools thing says that the display is not good when you activate it. You get all those ugly lines that we showed off on the show a couple of weeks ago.
That was last week, Jason.
That was just, see, time is weird.
Yep. Time is no meeting. It was last week.
That's right. Just last week, we showed off those lines. But I got to say, like, again, is this a review or is it my experience? And my experience using the tablet is every time I turned it on and looked at the display, I really liked what I was seeing. So, Does it matter that tool was displaying things that you would otherwise not want to see? Sure, it seems to prove that the display is not perfect, but my experience of using this tablet was that I really liked what I was seeing on the display every time I pulled it out. It didn't bother me at all. There was never a time where I was looking at the display or using it and scrolling and seeing something that I was like, ugh. God, I've seen so many better displays than this. Like, I was actually pretty impressed with it. Curious to know your thoughts, Juan.
I exactly the same boat where I feel our perception of a product needs to also be you need to take into account what is the expected use and who is the sort of target for something like this. Yeah. And I think OnePlus is doing something where this is a OnePlus Pad. It's not a OnePlus Pad Plus. It's not a OnePlus Pad Pro. And to say like LCD bad, I mean, I think a lot of us would say we prefer OLEDs.
Sure.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But to slam something just because it's an LCD without really looking at its sort of comparable performance, this is a tablet that's going to sell for a pretty decent price. And I've set it next to other like $300 and $400 carrier tablets. You know, like the MSRP is $300 or $400, but they're the tablets you often get for free when you sign up for like a line of service. And if you're complaining about the LCD here just because it's an LCD, then you don't remember how bad LCDs really could get on inexpensive Android tablets.
Yeah, totally.
I felt like this was punching well above its price tag. And I had someone in one of the comments on my video complaining that like, oh, well, you could go and get like an iPad. And you're like, yeah, but the iPad is also using an LCD at 60 hertz. So why are we upset about a 144 hertz LCD?
Where are the sacrifices?
Comparably priced tablets are kind of running in that same are running poorer displays than the one that's on this OnePlus.
Yeah, totally agree. You said it perfectly. I think the trade-off was solid considering the cost. I mean, this tablet is $479. So you're still sub $500, when you're talking about a tablet that has excellent specs. I mean, performance-wise, you've got the MediaTek Dimensity 9000 system on a chip in here, which, again, I have to reprogram myself and my like legacy beliefs around MediaTek. It's so easy to fall into the camp of like, MediaTek bad, similar to LCD bad. But I've changed my thinking on that because I've seen enough devices running their top of the line chips, and those devices perform about as good as any other device, coming from the Snapdragon camp that I've become so accustomed to.
And Dimensity 9000 was special because that was the chip that vaulted the 8 Gen 1 in performance per watt and was nipping at the heels of last year's iPhone. And when you put it in a larger chassis with a big battery and it's got better thermal management because of all the surface area, this Dimensity 9000 is a champ. I mean, I wouldn't really suggest people grab a tablet like this to do heavy laptop replacement work, right. But the chip is not what's holding it back. That SoC is hanging with, there is no sub $500 laptop selling today. Not like you can go and buy an old laptop for less.
Right.
You put this up against like a $400 Chromebook, and this thing is an order of magnitude more powerful than what we can do with Android apps on a cheaper Chromebook. So this is the MediaTek that changed. It changed the game for MediaTek premium SoCs.
Yep. Didn't really take a whole lot of camera pictures with a camera. Sorry, it's just not something I do a lot on a tablet.
But you sure couldn't miss where it is, though.
No, I mean I like the look of it. I actually really like the look of it, especially with this case on. Like, it's a solid.
It's a design consistency with the line of phones, right? If you're going to have the tablet to match the phone, like when you see them both laying on the table, like, no, mine's the one with the big black dot. That's mine. Thank you. But I also agree. I think it doesn't look it doesn't look like every other tablet out there, and that's a pro in my book here, and like in terms of how it, and I want a coherent design consistency that goes across the whole line. So I'm cool with the camper as is.
Especially,
I'm not really using a tablet to take family pictures.
I'm not, and I had these 2 dogs at the house and they're adorable, but they were almost too fast for me to capture with this camera. Not there because they were doing tricks for treats, I think. But anyways, see, that's a pretty blurry, on the move picture, partially because this thing is so damn big and it's so hard to take a picture with a tablet, period, let alone of a fast moving animal. And so I have a hard time knocking tablets on their camera performance anymore, because it's just, from a usability standpoint, it's not something I ever want to actually do, other than doing it to prove something on like a show or whatever. I never turn to my tablet for pictures.
Now, I will say, I will give a use case for the camera with the tablets here that I've come to discover on my own, which is my kids are in pre-K, and they have the app that they share photos with or whatever, they take videos with, and I've seen them in hand, and they're doing it with a tablet. They're chasing around the kids and taking pictures with the tablet, and they're doing stuff with the tablet. So yes, to Jason, you and I might not be taking family photos with the tablet, but there are use cases out there where it's like, hey, I'm using this tablet, I need to be able to take pictures, so it should be decent.
Yeah, I
think that's fair. I mean, my uses are, can I take video calls? And once I've satisfied that, then that's all I really need a camera on a tablet for. But it's totally fair to say other people's sort of usage or concerns might be met by having better cameras on their slate.
Just on a tablet like this, that's not that's not most people's primary reason, I think, for having it. So yes, it has a camera. It is capable of taking good pictures. But I didn't really put it to a deep test either. Battery performance, though, I thought was really good. I watched the Tetris movie, the 2-hour Tetris movie.
What'd you think of it?
I thought it was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
It was so fun.
It was so much fun.
It's a good one.
But that was the first thing that I did on the tablet when I got on the airplane. I rested for a little while because it was 6 a.m. And then when I was done resting, I woke up, opened up the tablet and watched that. And it started at 100%. And by the end of the 2-hour movie, it was at 90%. I thought that was pretty darn impressive.
It's impressive.
Like
That's
10%
great.
Lost in 2 hours of watching, a movie. And just in general, battery performance was pretty solid. I did a lot of gaming and a lot of movies and stuff like that on the week away. So, it's 9510 milliamp hour battery, 67 watt super VOOC charging. So you can get that fast charging if you have the right brick to do it. Does have face unlock, which I thought was okay. That's really the biometric authentication that you get on this device. That is one thing that you could ding this for, I suppose, is that there's no fingerprint sensor. So if you're looking for that, you don't have that. Other than that, I mean, I think my experience with this tablet was I'm really impressed, and especially for the price range, and especially also that this is OnePlus's first kind of go with a tablet. I think the overall package, I really was surprised at how much I like this keyboard case. I really enjoyed having it. I think my one criticism is that it locks only into a single viewing angle, and that angle wasn't always the right angle for me necessarily. But for it to pack up and it magnetically kind of snaps together like this, so anytime I threw it in my backpack, I didn't feel like it was gonna open up on me or anything like that. And boop, it's out, and we're good to go. I don't know. It's a cool package. It is $150 to get that extra keyboard. Although I think they had a deal if you were buying them all in the beginning. I don't know if they still have that deal anymore.
Yeah, they aren't probably going to revisit that original sort of promo launch price, because that was intense. It was the tablet, and then you got the keyboard for free, and then you got the stylus at half price.
Oh, okay.
So you could have ended up with $530 for the whole kit.
For everything you see here.
I don't think they're going to revisit that.
Yeah. But overall, pretty impressed with it. Does that kind of fall in line with your thoughts, or do you differ in any of these categories?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right on there with you. One, I don't think OnePlus ever gets enough credit for charging technology because
they do.
They're one of the only. It's OnePlus and Motorola in the United States, in North America, that offer these sort of faster charging standards. So going from 45 watt charging on a Galaxy Tab to 67 watt charging on this is a noticeable difference when the tablet's starting to run a little low and you maybe have 10 minutes to try and top it off. How much more juice you really get for plugging it in for a short period of time. Really, my biggest complaint wasn't really the tablet itself. I feel like we're missing just the opportunity, because there's no expandable storage, to maybe sell another tier. I think this is a tablet that starts to push into territory where you could use it for more laptop-y things. It's powerful enough to be used for more laptop-y things. I just wish we had more options for storage. Because at this point, 128 is still lean, even if it's only a companion computer to another computer or a smartphone. I want a bit more space on there.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, Burke, I just saw in Slack you were talking about there being a delay between me swiping and the screen recognizing and scrolling. And so I was just kind of like playing around with it. And I'm like looking at the video, I'm like, I see what you mean. It looks like I'm swiping and then wait and then things happen. But when I'm looking at my tablet and doing it, it feels natural. Like it feels like it comes at the right time. So I think maybe that's a disconnect of like the perception of what we see when we're watching it versus actually interacting with it. Because when I'm interacting with it, it doesn't feel delayed to me. Yet when I look on a screen, even though that screen probably is slightly delayed actually, so that's probably part of the delay that I'm seeing. But anyways, so yeah. Cool. So the OnePlus Pad, I think they did a pretty great job right out of the gate. $479 for this tablet. All those other accessories that you can get if you like, but you don't have to.
I got to say, with given that we are moving into the year of the tablet,
with the
OnePlus Pad and the much awaited Pixel tablet on its way, I got my delivery notice. It's coming in June, so I'm very excited to get my hands on that one.
Nice.
Juan, do you feel that finally we're in the year of the tablet, or do you see us turning a corner in Android? Given all the commitment from Android developers, we talked to the guys, Dave Burke and Samir Samad from Android, and talked about optimizing the operating system for large screens. Is the Android audience finally ready to embrace tablets the way we've hoped since 2013?
I'm hoping, just because we always need the competition. For so long, I've only been recommending Galaxy Tabs, not because I feel that there's any Samsung like hardware superiority, but because you could avoid Android on a larger screen and use DeX. And you would get sort of a more familiar computer experience by using a Galaxy Tab with DeX as the main interface. So finally, isn't it so funny? We've seen the ebb and flow. Like, I remember when I first started getting into reviewing Android gear, and like we'd have Asus experiments like the Transformers or the Pad phones. We've been trying to get Android as the background operating system, but some kind of extra computer use out of this hardware for like 15 years, or not that long, but like over a decade, that we're finally starting to kind of tap into what is the functionality. Developers are taking it more seriously. I think this is the good start. And now what's going to be interesting to see is iPads, I feel, have been very consistent, but maybe getting a little stagnant. At the same time, Windows on ARM has been getting really good, and it can also run Android apps and Linux programs, and we still have Chrome kicking around. Like, a good Chrome slate is a really good. So I feel like the big screen slate competition is going to be really hot this year. And so if there was ever a time someone was looking at, I want a companion or an in-between computer, now I think is a really good time to shop and look at all these different options. The fight between OnePlus Pad and Pixel Pad is going to be awesome. Like, that is just going to be a great showdown when people really get to live with these things for a little while.
Yeah.
And I want to see what it does in terms of re-energizing the Samsung line, or re-energizing the other ones that are out there to really, get the market going, and people, and it all goes back to, we've talked about this on the show, and people, a bit of a broken record here, but like, it's all going to go back to the developers embracing it and creating is there a compelling use other than watching a movie or TV show or reading a book or reading a comic book or playing a game? You know, like, and that goes back to, you know, what you were saying, Juan, about like pushing the productivity aspect of it. Can I go on a trip and not take my laptop and take that tablet and feel confident, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and it's going to be a challenge for reviewers, because I think we've gotten a little complacent. Because you really got to go out there and try it. And we've gotten better apps. Microsoft 365 has improved its support for Android. LumaFusion coming over to Android is a huge step for content creation. So now, I mean, like, all the little pieces are starting. It's not the end game, but they're starting to fall into place. But now it's on reviewers to really test that. If it's just like, oh, this tablet's $500 and all I did was watch movies on it, then you're like, well, yeah, you didn't really give us that. You didn't really dig into it. You didn't really tell us anything. You can do that cheap.
Yeah, you can do that on the cheapest of tablets. Absolutely.
I did a road trip. Could I really just use my OnePlus Pad to get all my work done? And let's see where it struggles, and let's see where there's still gaps in that experience.
Yeah, indeed. So, and by the way, Juan did, like I said, did do a review of this. So if you go to somegadgetguy.com and you can check out Juan's review of the OnePlus Pad from about a month ago as well, which you can see right there. It's a time-shifted Juan on our screen right now.
That guy.